you believe less than 100 years ago, Iranian women were fighting for the right to wear the hijab? Yes, you heard it right. Not to take it off, but to wear it. Welcome to one of the most complex, controversial, and emotionally charged stories in modern Iran, the story of the hijab. A piece of fabric that became more than just clothing. It became a symbol of identity, freedom, control, and politics. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel sharareh.m.oujan, where I'll take you on a journey to discover the real unfiltered Iran. What does hijab mean? The word hijab or hijab is an Arabic term meaning curtain. And just like a curtain's role in covering and creating a boundary, hijab is used to signify something that covers. Now let's go back in time and see what things were like in the past. Not here though, let's go way back, 5,000 years ago. Early Iranian clothing. Around 5,000 years ago, Iran was in a period where various tribes like the Elamites lived in the Iranian plateau, and their clothing was mostly influenced by the climate, local resources, and religious and social beliefs. This era corresponds nearly to the Bronze Age. The clothing of Iranian women mainly consisted of long one-piece garments that covered the body and were made from simple woven fabrics. These clothes were usually tied around the waist with leather or fabric belts. People used natural materials from their environment like wool, animal skins, and plant fibers to make clothes. Sometimes women used fabrics to cover or tie their hair. Although the hijab as we know it today didn't exist, covering the head was common for the protection from the heat or cold. In later periods, like during the Achaemenid, Parthians, and Sassanid eras, both men and women's clothing was often long, covering much of the body. This was, of course, because of the diverse climate of the region, and the main purpose was to protect the body from heat, cold, wind, and sunlight. In overall, people creatively used natural materials to make clothes that were both practical and adapted to their environment. And perhaps this is why the culture of nudity, like in ancient Greece or Rome, never really existed in ancient Iranian culture. The arrival of Islam, 7th century. After the arrival of Islam in Iran, since hijab was part of Islamic laws, women in Iran started wearing it. The form and status of hijab, however, varied across different periods until the Pahlavi dynasty, who made a significant change. Reza Shah's ban on hijab. After visiting Turkey, Reza Shah was influenced by Ataturk's ban on the hijab and said in a conversation, "Since I visited Turkey and saw their women who had thrown away their hijab working alongside men in the country's affairs, I believe hijab is the enemy of progress and development." With the goal of modernizing and westernizing the country, Reza Shah in 1936 officially banned the hijab. The enforcement was brutal though. Police patrolled in the streets, ensuring women weren't wearing veils. Women who resisted had their veils torn off. Some religious women refused to leave their homes for months, and some were only stepping outside at night. The situation remained tense until his son, Mohammad Reza Shah, took power. Under his rule, hijab became a personal choice. Women could wear it or not, and both groups of women wearing hijab or Western-style clothing could be seen on the streets. The Islamic Revolution and mandatory hijab, 1979 until present. After the 1979 Islamic Revolution, as the new religious government took power, made it compulsory for all women in public spaces to wear full hijab. In the early years, strict hijab laws were enforced in public and workspaces. leading to a full coverage including loose, dark clothing and completely covered hair. However, over time, these strict rules loosened slightly. Scarves were worn further back, clothing became more colorful, tighter and shorter. Hijab crackdowns and the morality police. Then, during Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's presidency in 2005, the presence of the morality police in green vans began in the streets, stopping and arresting women for bad hijab, and soon became the nightmare of almost every woman in Iran. For years, these patrols continued until one tragic event changed everything. Mahsa Amini and the turning point of 2022. Mahsa, a 22-year-old Kurdish girl who was visiting Tehran, was arrested by the morality police for improper hijab. Typically, women would have to call their parents or someone to bring them a more appropriate outfit. During this process, they would usually be asked to sign a written pledge promising that they would wear proper hijab in the future. However, things took a different and tragic turn for Mahsa Amini, as she sadly lost her life while in custody. Her family and outraged citizens blamed police for her death. Meanwhile, police claimed that they had no role in her passing and that it was a coincidence. The reaction to her death sparked protests across Iran and triggered widespread uprising against the Islamic Republic from Iranians worldwide. And many Iranian women started removing their hijabs in public. The streets of Iran changed overnight. What was once rare became common, and the appearance of cities in terms of hijab has changed drastically compared to pre-2022. Government response and the new hijab laws. In response, the government imposed stricter penalties, including fines for cars carrying unveiled women and impounding their vehicles for at least 2 weeks. And later, some politicians in parliament proposed even harsher penalties for women refusing to wear hijab. However, as of now, July 2025, being refused by the current president, these laws have not yet been fully enforced. Until recently, Iran and Saudi Arabia were the only countries where hijab was legally mandatory. Although after Mohammed bin Salman's reforms, he lifted the hijab mandate. Meanwhile, with the Taliban's return to power in Afghanistan, Iran and Afghanistan are now the only two countries where all women must wear the hijab by the law. This rule also applies to tourists visiting Iran. So what exactly are the hijab laws? First, in Islam, girls are required to wear starting at the age of 9, so that is when religious duties became obligatory for them. For boys, the age of religious obligations is 15. From this age, girls must cover themselves in front of anyone who is not considered mahram. Who are mahram? Their husbands, fathers, fathers-in-law, sons, stepsons, brothers, nephews, other women, male who lack sexual desire, or children who have not yet developed awareness of women's body. According to the Islam laws, women must cover their entire body, including their hair, except for their hands from the wrist down and their faces. While covering the feet is not required during prayers, it must be covered in the presence of non-mahram men. For 5,000 years, clothing in Iran has reflected power, culture, religion, and politics, and most of all, resistance. Today, this simple piece of fabric worn on the head has become a symbol of the right for freedom, not just for Iranian women, but for the identity of an entire nation. So tell me, what do you think? Should wearing the hijab be a choice or a law? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Bye.